Okay, I think we're live. I'm not going to bother checking. I normally check and just waste a load of time, so we'll just go straight in. So welcome to Lorna Watkinson. And Lorna came on one of my decluttering retreat days. So we're just going to have a chat about how she got on. And I'm going to start off with just asking Lorna, would she like to introduce herself and what her business does and who she works with and how she helps them?
Thank you. So I am Lorna, as you said. I run Vibrant Thinking, which offers team building with a twist for corporate, with the twist being pottery painting, and also rainbow pottery painting, which is hands and footprints for babies and toddlers, and also takeaway kits to create memories, presents, gifts, things like that in the run up to Christmas, particularly for grannies and grandparents that might have everything, but a paint painted by their grandchild is something to be treasured.
Oh, absolutely. That's, I think I didn't know all of that, or I'd forgotten. And I've been doing painting recently, but manifesting art. So painting to a bit like a vision map, but without all the sort of the details. So people don't necessarily know, if they walk into the house, what I'm trying to manifest, if you like. One of which was a picture to help with the selling of our house. My husband doesn't believe in any of this manifesting. He doesn't believe in any of this sort of feng shui and whatever. However, we got an offer on the house 2 days after we put the picture up.
That's definitely saying something.
Yeah, exactly. So he won't admit that he believes in it, but he does. It's quite funny. The other thing is what I was going to say about the art that you're doing. My nephews, they were probably 4, 5 or 6, did painting of tea towels. And there was no grandparents actually on their mum's side. There was a grandparent on the dad's side. But the aunties and uncles all got a tea towel. And I still have the twin boys, and I still have both of those tea towels, which is, they're useful. We use them all the time.
Yes.
With their handprints or whatever I'd have to have a look at them again to actually, rather than just drying the dishes, to actually see what they've actually done. But, they're 13 now, and, we've had them, what's that, 6, 7 years? Can't do maths. So they're real. I thought it was such a good idea. And actually, I think they weren't running it. Whoever did it, I think they were running it as a charity as opposed to a business, which is also, another way of doing it. Right. Okay. So let's move on to our questions. So my first question to Lorna is, why did you want to attend the Decluttering Retreat Day?
So this year I had designated it as being the year that I declutter the house. But I have found it far more difficult than I thought to do it sort of on my own, little by little. I mean, I like from January I have been doing little bits and pieces here and there, but it feels like it feels overwhelming all of the time. And what really appealed to me when I saw it on Facebook was the fact that it would be a time that was set aside, a full day that was set aside, and that I would be doing it with people. Mm-hmm. So rather than the feeling of like normally like an hour into something when I just think, oh, I can't, this just is too much. And actually I've stopped focusing. What I tend to do is I'll be in one place doing that, but then I've gone to go and put something away and then got distracted where that is. And then, I then feel like I haven't actually achieved anything. I can't see that I've achieved anything. I've just done a little bit in lots of different places. And, you know, you'd set it up very much that you choose a specific area, and that you talked about it being, you know, not like necessarily a whole room. It could be just much, much smaller than that, which is what I ended up doing. So the thing of like that, I felt like I would have the keep on track, because I knew that I'd have to come back and say what I was doing at different points. And I find this body doubling thing fascinating in how effective it is when you're doing it with people, even if when you're online. So
for viewers that are not familiar with body doubling, because I don't actually call it body doubling, I call it I called it an online retreat. But I think some people, not everybody, are more familiar with co-working sessions. But body doubling, how would you describe body doubling?
It's committing to a time with somebody else virtually to do a specific task. And I think it's particularly effective for people like me that get very easily distracted or get overwhelmed and give up. Having that, the fact that you know that somebody is there and you're going to have to talk to them at the end of the session to say how well you've done, or not how well you've done, but what you have done rather. So it's something, it helps me focus what I'm doing much more than if I'm setting a timer, which is, you know, people just say, well, just set a timer and you just do that thing in an hour. But actually, I then go off track.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's also having that company.
Yes.
That, you know, other people doing, you know, similar things, or not, even if they're not doing similar things, but they're wanting to get something done, even if it's not the same as what you're doing, you know. So you could be doing, you know, sorting out your accounts, or, you know, or clearing, you know, a room or something, or cleaning, you know, even outside of the kind of the, you know, the decluttering realms, actually being online, because online is, you know, a thing these days. You know, or they have co-working, you know, sort of offices where you could just go and, you know, work alongside other people that are just getting stuff done. I think body doubling has kind of come from, my understanding is, because I've not heard of it until this year sometime, had come from kind of the neurodivergence sort of, you know, world. But I think it does help a lot of people, but I think particularly people with I can't even say it this morning, neurodivergency sort of tendencies, or even if they are, you know, sort of, you know, diagnosed, it really does, you know, help. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so I think you've kind of answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What did you find most useful during the decluttering retreat day?
So yes, so definitely the aspect of doing it with somebody, the sense of accountability, and as you said, just having company. I really, the other bit that really did help was the I think it was kind of the lead up emails that you'd sent that were very clear about, you know, be specific about the space that you're going to be decluttering, and that it can, and that it doesn't need to be a room. As I said, it was like, and that just helped me change my mindset, because I thought it's a day, so I can do an enormous amount. And actually, you helped me realize beforehand to change those expectations or goals to make it something that seems like a relatively small space. It was my daughter's shelves with all of her toys. You know, she's 15 now. It's basically had stuff that was there from when she was a baby. But by doing that, it also it actually meant that I followed through on a whole load of things, because I actually, for example, her desk that we had there, I actually completely cleaned, emptied, and put on Facebook and had sold.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know, that kind of thing, which it would have just sat there with me thinking I need to do that at some point if it had been me on my own.
Yeah.
But you know, you in the breaks when we caught up with things and people were saying this is what I'd done, you know, so I think somebody said that they already put something on Vinted or whatever, and I was like, oh, I could, you know, so it also gives you ideas that you wouldn't have thought about.
Just by being with other people that
Yeah.
you know, that sort of inspiration.
Yeah.
You don't know what somebody else is going to. I think also kind of, you know, divine timing. You know, something, you know, somebody just saying something at the right time, right place, and you know, it landing for you.
Yeah.
You know, that idea to you know, put it on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, or whatever you know, whatever you would use, and to sell it so quickly as well. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, it was brilliant, because you know, again, also I tend to procrastinate and think, oh, what am I going to write? What, you know, maybe nobody, you know, am I going to overprice it and then not do anything? But because I was like, it was get this done, this is what I've committed for. It was just done, dusted, and then I was astonished that it was like sold.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
It's quite, and that makes it quite exciting as well. It gives you that real buzz, and you know, to use the kind of the neuroscience, that dopamine hit, which you know we all want, don't we? Okay, thank you. So, how did you feel? You've already kind of answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How did you feel at the end of the day?
I felt that I had achieved so much, and actually, to be clear, at the end of the day, I still had stuff that was out, if you like, on the island, that I hadn't been put back, that needed to be sorted through by my daughter, in terms of what do we keep, what do you want to keep, and what is going, because there were some things I didn't feel I could make that decision on.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, having that as the fact that I had that out and in piles, it meant that when my daughter did come in later that evening, early evening, we went straight through it and did that there and then. So the sense of accomplishment was huge. It's like suddenly there was so much space in that area. Like I couldn't believe how much space there was in comparison to how it felt. It felt dark and overcrowded, and suddenly it was spacious. It was like the room could breathe again. That corner of the room.
Yeah. And you wouldn't even think that was a thing, that the room can breathe.
No. And I felt very proud of myself. And I also, so not only had I sold the desk, but I had also found in change that was just in an ice cream tub at the back of the thing, something like £37 or something like that, which, you know, was always there, but had been forgotten about.
Yeah.
So
you covered your investment on the decluttering day.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Isn't the purpose of the day, but it's a nice buzz.
Yeah.
That you get that, you know, you get that money back, you get that reward.
Yeah.
Thank you. Brilliant. And how did your daughter feel with her, you know, that space?
So initially she was a bit kind of like, what have you done? But then, but then she was excited as well, because with the desk, she got half of the money. So basically we halved everything that we sold. So I did also put some things on Vinted, some of the games, and we'd sold some of them. We then took them to a car boot sale. We didn't make a huge amount of money, but you know, it was money. So she was excited by that. I think I've now started her on an addiction on Vinted, but never mind.
What, buying or selling? Or both?
Both, but I'm quite happy if she sells, that's fine. That
Yeah.
means she's then kind of self-funding,
Yes, exactly.
which is good. And she it's the first time, I'll be honest, that she's actually been able to let go of things. And I think part of that, normally I've done it with her, whereas this time I put things in piles and kind of, it was, I don't know, there was something about making it much easier for her to go through and say, no, you know, that can go.
Yeah.
And then the ones that she was like, no, I want to keep the games that she might have been a bit old for now, but obviously have memories. I'm like, okay, we'll happily keep those.
So you've made it easier for her.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we recently, we're bringing stuff down out of the loft because we're moving house, and I had forgotten that this huge horse was in the loft. My husband had no idea that it was there, so he brought this big black bin bag down, and then discovered this horse. Admittedly, I think I'd forgot it was up there. My daughter knew it was up there. She's now 24, and she still had this huge toy horse that she'd bagged up. I don't know how long it's been up there. God, it could be 10 years. You know, she didn't want to let it go, and she did actually get rid of a load of soft toys a few years ago. I think after she finished university. You know, and that, you know, she'd have been what, 21, 22 then. Actually, she let the dog choose, the puppy at the time, choose what toys he would like. And then there was also another box of, but when we opened it, it was like all her kind of real sort of, you know, favourites, and something from when she was, I think her grandparent gave it to her, you know, a baby.
Yeah.
But this horse. So I messaged her and said, can we find a home? Can we rehome Twilight? And then I thought, actually, she works in a boarding school, and I thought, actually, she might like it for, you know, the boarding house, because she's working with the very young one. Well, not the high school young ones, not like prep age. And because when we'd been shown around by her and the house mistress, there was a big gorilla that I think a previous staff member had left, and so they were wanting to get rid of it, but I think the girls were saying, no, keep it. So I said, oh, do you want the horse? And she straight away she said yes. But I think partly because the horse is her stamp on, you know, the place. It's her personality. They may well let go of the gorilla that just is, you know, sitting there. So you need to make sure that the house mistress is okay with this huge horse coming. So she did ask her, and she said yes, she's absolutely delighted that Twilight is coming to live with them. So so now we have to try and get it down to her, but that will be fun. But I think she was finally ready to you know to let it go.
Yeah.
After the loft. She kind of hangs on to things more than my son does, actually. I wrote a post the other day, and it wasn't aimed at her. I can't remember what inspired me to write it, but it was have you got other people's clutter in your space? Somebody had, I can't remember what I'd written, but somebody else had said, I've got stuff belonging to, you know, other people in her car and stuff. So it was kind of, you know, I'd written a post, and then somebody said something. I thought, oh, that's interesting. I can write a post about that. And of course, my daughter thought, you know, my post about have you got other people's clutter was aimed at her. She said, the childhood memories. So I think when I wrote it sort of the first time, because I'd repurposed it, I think she thought it was aimed at her dad, who's got, you know, tons of clutter. But it wasn't actually. It was inspired by, you know, somebody reading my Facebook posts. I think it was, does clutter bother you? And then it was, that's how somebody said, yeah, no, but other people's does.
Yeah.
You see the
train of thought on that, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so my last question is, actually, you weren't on the session where we did the EFT, were you? The EFT task.
No, because I think because I missed the start, because I'd had something out, because I think you did that at the beginning, and I'd missed that. Yeah,
so I think you were on the very first day, and when the EFT was offered, we'd done a meditation at the very beginning.
Okay.
And then EFT, people didn't feel like they needed it, or
that's right. Yeah,
wanted to take time. Whereas all of the other days that I've done, everybody has opted for the EFT. Somebody who was on the day that you were on said afterwards they regretted not doing the EFT because they think it would have helped, make it sort of easier. But I think collectively, sometimes when one person says, no, we're fine, everybody kind of follows suit, and says, it takes quite a strong personality to say, well, actually, I'd like it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on all of the other days, we have done the EFT, and people still have a choice whether they want to just crack on with decluttering, or even just listen in to the tapping. So that was one of my questions for people: is how did you find that? But you won't have experienced it. Okay, so my last question is: what would you say to someone thinking of attending one of these decluttering online decluttering retreat days?
I'd say book it. I think it is. You get so much out of it, and it's not just about the day. It's also about afterwards, because it really, again, during the day and the conversations, there were things that were talked about, and you talked about the fact that you have to, never just leave something as I'll think about it. It's like, is it going? If it's going, is it being sold? Is it going to the tip? Is it going to a car boot sale? Just don't ever leave it in I'll think about it, because it'll never move from wherever you've left it, kind of thing. And that's then really helped me in terms of, things that have been sort of left. I have now moved out, and so, for example, I did a car boot sale in the summer holidays, but I'd already decided anything that wasn't sold, we were just going to go straight to the tip from the car boot sale. So it didn't even come back in the house. So there was no risk of it becoming clutter again. It was, however much I felt like, oh, I wish, that could have been used by somebody. But then again, it's gone to the tip and it went into the bric-a-brac section. So hopefully it will be used by somebody that needs it. Didn't just go in there.
It's not necessarily going into landfill.
No,
it's
exactly.
Going to somewhere where, whether somebody takes stuff to the charity shop or the recycling centre, where people can pick up, another point where it can avoid going into landfill. And we can't avoid everything. We can't keep everything out of landfill. It's just, we're just not living in that world, are we? But the more we can try,
yes.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, no, I was because I had, so mentally I was thinking tip equaled landfill until I got there and remembered that actually there is another option, and I was very glad of that, because that meant I didn't feel I had any guilt at all.
Yes.
And it was a very good kind of like, it is out of the house, it is going somewhere where it can be used again.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not your responsibility to keep it in your house. If it's, you're finished with it. You don't have to store. Your house is not a storage space. For stuff that you no longer want or need. I did have another question. That wasn't the last one. I got mixed up. And I think you've probably answered this in a way. How have you how have you been doing since?
So I have definitely continued decluttering in different areas. Again, sometimes it feels much more manageable now, because I don't think I'm going to do this room. I think I'm going to do this particular drawer in the room, or the cupboard, or whatever it is. And you know, I feel like I am consistently making progress. Which feels good. And I would also say I do think there is some connection between when I do some decluttering in either my study or the workshop, which is the garage, by the kilns are and everything, my stock. There is a bit of a connection with when a booking comes in.
That's interesting.
There is a feeling of, well, that's interesting. I must have moved something, because, you know, something is blocked, and suddenly I've had, you know, somebody's ordered a couple of takeaway kits or whatever it might be. But there is definitely, you know, some connection there, I think.
Yeah. I find that really interesting. And, you know, some people say, oh, it's just a coincidence and, you know, whatever. But I've seen it happen, you know, for myself, you know, my husband, clients, you know, where, you know, there is that sort of, you know, connection. I mean, we've had our house on the market for a long time. And all of a sudden, and my husband hangs on to his clutter. And he said, oh, I'm going to clear out the loft or make a start on the loft. And I was like, wow. You know, I mean, obviously, because we're moving, it has to get done. If we weren't moving, it would just stay there for our children, probably. And I popped my head around the door and I said, oh, by the way, do you know what the the loft represents in feng shui? Even though I know you don't believe in it. And I said, it's dreams and aspirations in your future. And he carried on going down the stairs, you know, still ignoring me. But he did make a huge start on the loft. And then we went off. We went off down south, I think, to see his dad. And we were due to go to Wales to look at some houses. And that night, quite late, a house popped up that was just like, you know, our dream house. Now, normally, he sends me, you know, the link on WhatsApp, and we have a chat about it, and we say, do we want to see it, etc. He'd already booked it by the time I woke up in the morning, you know, to view it the following day. And it's the first house that we both liked, and have put an offer in. Now, we haven't heard at the moment. We've been told it's not a yes and it's not a no. So although it's not kind of gone full into, you know, a manifestation, it's a step in the right direction, as in, you know, seeing something. But I was like, wow, you know, sort of, you know, with the, the loft, and even with putting the picture up and having the house on the market for so long. And then it was a couple of days, you know, an offer came in from somebody that had looked in it at the house months ago, and we just thought they'd just gone totally off the radar. And the soul sign was, we'd gone away. We'd gone to take our daughter to her new job, and we got back, and not only has we had the apparent, there's a soul sign on the, you know, the sign. No, there's I've just seen it so many times. You know, and it really fascinates me, that sort of that connection, that link. You know, can you say it's just a coincidence? Maybe yes, maybe no. It's very interesting. Okay, so that's the end of the questions. Thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed. And it's not really an interview, it's just a chat, isn't it? I just have my questions just to help me. I don't go completely off piste. So we'll just say goodbye to our viewers. We've had a few people pop on. No questions that I can see in StreamYard. I will have a look on Facebook afterwards and see if anybody's got any questions. I'm going to put a link to the next lot of decluttering days. If you would like to put a link to your business, you know, on the Facebook, the LinkedIn, and my YouTube, if you can find it, you know, to what you're promoting or selling at the moment, that would be lovely.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. So I'm going to end the stream now, and we'll go back in the what do we call it? The dressing room.